Welcome to the NWR Virtual Resources Conference. On the line, we have Manganese and Marco Romero from Manganese. Manganese aims to produce manganese from an existing Czech manganese project by reprocessing tailings from a historic mining operation in the Czech Republic. This asset hosts high purity manganese in the heart of Europe. Upon commissioning, it will be Europe's only primary producer of high purity manganese, which is in high demand from the European battery metals sector. Marco Romero is with us today. Marco is the CEO and president of Manganese. He's an entrepreneur with nearly 40 years of experience in technical services, mining, and construction materials industries. He has held leadership roles in exploration, mine planning and operations, permitting and finance, as well as project and corporate development. Over to you, Marco. We can't wait to hear from you.
Hello, Laura. Thank you very much. Hello, Australia. Greetings from Canada. I'm sitting in Vancouver in an empty office because I wanted to have a quiet place away from my children to tell you about this company that we have been working on for the last 5 years. Before I begin, I want to make an important distinction between manganese and high purity manganese products. Manganese is the fourth most traded metal in the world. It's a key component of steel making. It goes into making ferroalloys, that goes into making all types of steel. But there is a niche within the manganese industry, which entails the processing of manganese ores to make extremely pure, almost pharmaceutical grade pure manganese chemicals. And that is the industry that I'm here to talk to you about today. We are a prospective manganese processor that just happens to also own the largest manganese deposit in Europe. So with that little prelude, I am going to tell you a bit about our company and our story and our plans. This first image that I put in front of you shows a bunch of automotive and even a motorcycle models here, all of which are electric, all of which contain manganese in their batteries. And this pretty much gives you a sense of the market that we are targeting. We propose to produce extremely high purity manganese products, principally for the lithium-ion battery business and principally for the automotive industry. Here we go. The Chvaletice manganese project is located in the heart of Europe. It is a large tailings deposit, contains about 27 million tons of material, grading about 7.33% manganese, that has already been completely mined, completely milled, and it's sitting right on surface. It's free digging, and very importantly, the manganese is contained in manganese carbonate minerals, which are very easy to leach, unlike the vast majority of manganese minerals, which require either chemical reduction or very high temperature thermal reduction before they can be leached. They're effectively refractory. This particular deposit is unique. It represents one of a very small percentage of deposits in the world that is made up of manganese carbonate. And it is located in the heart of Europe with all the industry all the infrastructure, that pretty much that it will need to be developed. It has a rail line right beside it. It has a power lines. In fact, it's right beside a giant power plant. It has water. It has gas right on site. And I'll give you more details in a minute. I have to show you this essentially and tell you that I'm going to be speaking about the future, and the regulators require that I tell you that you have to be cautious with what I say. Do your own research, because we might own a crystal ball, but it doesn't necessarily work. And on top of that, the ASX then asks me to refer you to a lot of past disclosure that we've made, compliant disclosure under JORC and other regulatory environments. So please pay attention to that. This presentation in an even longer format is available right on our website, www.mn25.ca. So I'll tell you a bit about our company first. Like Laura said, we're right in the heart of Europe, in the Czech Republic, focused on the development of this large manganese resource so that we can produce these extremely high purity products. We've been working on the project for 5 years now, and we've come up with a plan to build a large final product processing operation with a 25-year life to produce extremely high purity products. And importantly, to remind you, this entails the reprocessing of waste. This is not mining. There is no drilling, blasting, crushing, milling. It has already all been done in the past. And on top of that, you know, it's unique in the world of manganese processing in that we generate virtually no new waste. We're taking old waste, we're reprocessing it. And that gives us some pretty unique environmental features to this project. Again, manganese carbonate ore, direct leach, no energy intensive or environmentally challenging reduction required prior to leaching. We've done an enormous amount of metallurgical test work on this project, and we have focused on using modern, conventional, and commercially proven process technology. This is something we felt was important. We weren't into gambling and trying to reinvent the wheel. We have perfectly suitable, perfectly available technology that we can use to process this deposit. We've built a pilot plant. We've been able to confirm our ability to produce extremely high purity materials that meet all customer specifications that we're aware of, even for the most demanding tier 1 cathode and battery producers and automotive companies. We're not aware of a specification that we can't meet right now. And on top of that, we now are getting ready, or at least we are ready, to build a demonstration plant that will allow us to initiate the all-important and often underappreciated, underestimated challenge of getting the products qualified by the automotive companies and their supply chains. The supply chain validation, supply chain qualification is a critical process that we're ready to enter into once we build a demonstration plant, which we have now fully engineered and ready to go, only subject to financing at this stage. We've had very strong permitting momentum. We've had a very strong team working on everything from all the baseline studies, biology, hydrology, airshed modeling, everything to present to the regulators and local communities our EIA notification, which we expect to do this quarter. We're getting ready now and to finalize this document so that it can be presented and start the permitting process of this project. We've had really good momentum. We haven't encountered, and I knock on wood, opposition to the project. I think it's largely because it is waste recycling, and also as a benefit, we expect to leave the site in better condition than it is today. We also, I want to highlight something that Laura mentioned. We expect to become Europe's only primary producer of these products. We're not aware of another deposit even remotely close in scale and quality to this one that could challenge that. You never know. Geologists tend to make discoveries, but Europe has been very well explored by now. And this, of course, because of the environmental features, because of the product quality features, and also because of the location in the heart of Europe, has attracted very strong customer interest. We've signed several MOUs to enter into this qualification process with customers and expect to sign more. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So, long introduction, but to recap, and I would encourage you to go back and look at this presentation carefully on our website. But we have a market for manganese products that is rapidly growing, rapidly emerging, largely driven by the arrival, the advent of the automotive industry, essentially electrifying its entire fleet. We expect to see very large amounts of electric vehicles appear on the roads, many of these will require manganese. There are significant barriers to entry to this business. It's easier said than done to produce these high purity manganese products. We've been working at this for over 5 years with an extraordinary and very experienced team with a lot of depth of experience in designing, building, operating manganese processing plants. And we've made remarkable progress getting our project to where it is right now. We believe this is a globally significant project. It's strategic for Europe. It is unique, especially that Europe has over 14 million people that directly or indirectly work for the automotive industry. And electrification, the production of electric vehicles is a very important part of the strategy of the European automotive companies, but also of the European Union and the European governments themselves. And we believe in an extremely good place to be in this business. We expect to become a strategic supplier. Moving on, I told you about the extraordinary infrastructure of this project: rail, highway, gas, pipeline, water, and competitively priced electricity, which is an important ingredient in this equation. In fact, we even believe we may have the opportunity to buy certified carbon-free power, which would further reduce what's already a very small environmental footprint for this project. Working in the Czech Republic has been extraordinary. We've had a supportive, intelligent, reasonable regulatory environment. The communities are made up of well-educated people who are demanding and expect high environmental and other standards, so we don't mind that a bit. And we going on, I told you about the carbonate tailings. They're very uniform. We have completely drilled them off. We've done 2 campaigns of drilling, and we've arrived now at a point where we have an extraordinary 98% of the resource now classified as measured. We have no inferred. The tiny little bit that's left is indicated. And I challenge anyone listening here to show me another deposit when 98% of the resource is classified as measured under JORC or NI 43-101. We feel very, very good about that part of the business, very solid resource to use as a foundation for this mine plan. Our pilot plant products, as I said earlier, returned extraordinarily high specifications. We're very pleased without that. Going on, again, waste recycling, not mining. This is a unique deposit. There's nothing we know that's anywhere like it anywhere in the world. We've got a very clear plan. We know what we want to do to develop this deposit. The pilot plant, confirmed what we have in this deposit. And we now have a feasibility study under progress, which is building on a PEA that gave some very good economics for the project. We expect to complete that in early 2021. And again, customer interest been excellent. So I'll move on rapidly through this rest of the presentation, but I don't intend to really walk you through every word of this. I'm trying to encourage you to go to our website so that you can see the rest of it. But we've signed so far 5 MOUs with large international groups, including companies in the battery business, in the cathode business, global chemical and specialty material groups. And also, because there is another application for these products, which is very high specialty steel products, we've signed 1 MOU with JFE Steel Corporation, a tier 1 global steel maker based in Japan, leading steel producer. And we expect more to come. So far, we've got 55% of our demonstration plant capacity allocated to customers. And we expect the rest will go before long. Again, summary, our preliminary feasibility test work level program confirmed the PEA results. We've been in the middle of doing this work, and we're able to get very good recovery. So we're encouraged at the feasibility study level. We recently were admitted to the European Battery Alliance, which puts us at the table with some of the leading players, in fact, most of the leading players in the European automotive and electric vehicle industry. We also recently received approval for a package of tax credits from the Czech Republic Ministry of Industry and Trade in the amount of about 27 million Canadian dollars. That was the first clear sign of support from the Czech government for us, and we're very grateful for that. And importantly, we also received a significant environmental ruling recently through the Natura 2000 program, which essentially stated that our project is not expected to affect endangered species and their habitat, which is a great place to be, and essentially de-risks our permitting process even more. And more importantly, well, lastly, we recently did a private placement for $1 million in the middle of the whole COVID-19 crash. We were quite encouraged to get the support that we got to do that. The market, it is growing very fast. We expect to see, as the lithium-ion industry, battery industry grows, the electric vehicle industry grows, a resulting very large uptick in demand for manganese, for high purity manganese products. We also expect to see an evolution in the battery chemistries that will drive this industry, this manganese industry, to greater strengths, largely driven by NMC cathode chemistry prevailing over the long run and demanding increasing quantities of these products. There was an interesting piece which we learned recently. Well, we knew this, but it was published by a group called Benchmark Minerals, which are one of the leading market research firms in the battery materials place. But essentially, it pointed out that manganese, now 93% of the processing is happening in China. There's very little finished product, final refined product production outside of China. And we've got a shot right now of delivering some of this production, some of this processing rather, in the middle of Europe, where right now 100% of all manganese products are imported. There's a little bit of processing that takes place in Europe, but it's from imported ore. We've got a shot at providing an attractive and even strategic alternative to the existing sources of supply. This is a map I like to show very much. It essentially shows you where we are located in the middle of Europe, surrounded by new electric vehicle plants, battery plants, cell plants, battery chemical plants, all of which, all the ones that we see there in one way or another, directly or indirectly, need manganese. So we're extremely well located for that. I'll skip through this. I told you already about the infrastructure right in the heart of Europe, good tax rate as well, 19%. Talk to you about the carbonate tailings. There are significant barriers to entry into this business that are not to be underestimated to produce the type of products that are required by the tier 1 battery makers and their customers. And we believe we're very well situated to do that. We've done, like I said, enormous amount of work involving some of the leading people in the world with deep, actual practical experience in doing so. Drilled off the entire deposit, bulk sampled it, ran the pilot plant, completely drilled off the deposit to make sure that we really understood what we were dealing with. And we were blessed to find out that there's a remarkable consistency in the resource in this deposit. I must remind you again, this is waste recycling, not mining. Our plan, which is now at a very advanced stage, entails, like I said, no new waste generation. but it also entails leaving the site in far better condition than it is today, making it compliant with all modern European and Czech laws, which are quite demanding, and give our customers some comfort that we will be a sustainable producer. Important aspects of this project as well. Our community consultation has been very intensive and very detailed, and continues. We've engaged the community into the evaluation, design phases of this project, and we've received overwhelmingly positive feedback and reaction to the project. We hope that will continue as well during the course of the EIA, which we're about to begin shortly. We've tied up all of the land that we want pretty much for the plant, which is directly adjacent to the power plant, across from the rail line and the highway, right next door to the tailings. We have done and continue to do an enormous amount of work on fine-tuning and preparing this plant for construction. The engineering that's going into the feasibility study is at a very high level. And our plan is, over the next 2 years, to continue to this feasibility study and complete it next year, to build and commission a demonstration plant sometime by the first half of 2021. Complete permitting if we can by then as well, and get the project ready for construction. In parallel, there's a very active exercise going on in discussions with customers and others about financing the project, and we are seeing very strong interest in supporting the project, in participating in the project, and we expect this project to be able to support substantial financing, both through customer sponsorship and other similar arrangements, and also through debt providers. And our goal remains to start up this plant by 2023. And that pretty much sums it up.
Thanks so much, Marco. That was perfect timing. I have a couple of questions for you. Why do you think manganese continues to attract less attention, or little attention even, compared to other battery metals?
I like to call it the forgotten battery metal. It's not as glamorous as maybe cobalt and lithium were in its heyday. A lot of people think that because there's a lot of manganese in this world, it's a very large industry, it's very easy to get manganese. What they don't know, what they forget, is that taking a manganese ore and turning it into these very specialized high purity products without making an environmental mess is very challenging. It's very difficult.
Yeah, well, one's forgotten, and hopefully no more with Euro-Manganese potentially at the helm. Thank you so much for joining us, Marco.
Thank you.
Next up, we do have Perseus Mining, who you will be familiar with, gold producer. Perseus has built and operates 2 mines in West Africa. They'll be up in a couple minutes' time. Please join in.